So the rails are exposed here, and there's a concrete pit here. So the rails are resting on top of concrete slabs. Hey there everyone, welcome to a new video coming to you from a parking lot. Exciting, isn't it? Well, we're here for one reason, because behind me in those woods is supposed to be remains of an old historic abandoned rail line, which I will be sharing some information with you about. I'm also not alone though. Joining me today is...
Hello.
Where is she? There she is. Lili, my daughter. So she's gonna help me find the potential rails here in the woods. And we also have a bonus location, so you want to make sure to continue watching to see where else we go to next. So if you want to see what we find today, well, simply come along with us. So this is a place I scouted over the summertime, but as you can imagine, it was really thick and overgrown, and it'd be nearly impossible to find anything. So we decided to come here in February when everything is dead through the winter. And it should make it a bit easier to find anything that is hiding here in the woods. Now, I believe it's only a small section that is still here, but regardless, it is still something to document and to share with you guys.
It's slimy here.
Yeah, it's kind of wet and damp still. Looks like maybe signs of a structure there, or maybe it's a pile of rail ties, which I think that's what it is. Where? Yeah, it's just trash. Yeah, that is a pile of rail ties. All right, so right now I want to give you some context about these rails and what we're trying to locate here. Lili is being my camera assistant at the moment. So I'm going to read off a website, which I can link down below, giving some general information. But if you want more details, check out the link. But this is going to be a defunct section of the Lehigh and Susquehanna Railroad that was founded in 1837 to carry coal from the North Branch Division of the Pennsylvania Canal to the Lehigh Canal. Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company, known as the LC&N, chartered the Lehigh and Susquehanna Railroad, LNS, in March 1837 in order to link the North Branch Division of the Pennsylvania Canal at Wilkes-Barre and the Lehigh Canal at Whitehaven. Construction of the 19.5-mile line began in 1839 and was completed in 1841. It required the development of 3 incline planes, including the famed Ashley Plains, which I did a video on. That'll be linked down below as well, and a tunnel known as the Turnhole Tunnel in Jim Thorpe. I also explored that, which will also be linked down below. If you want more information, check the link out, but that is a brief overview of the section line here. There's not much left of it. The parking lot and homes here are basically redeveloped over the line, but there should still be sections here, and there's a fly on my phone, somewhere in the woods connecting to, I believe, another section of tracks. So we're going to keep exploring and hopefully we'll find it. Now there are a few different paths back here. So, okay, I am seeing something over here. Looks like maybe concrete. We're going to follow the main path they're on right now. If we don't come to anything, we may have to cut through the woods, but there is definitely something over there. I see some concrete, like a wall. But when we do find something, which maybe I just found it. All right, never mind. I think we're here. All right, I'm going to come up this little hillside here. Yeah, here they are. Oh wow, there's actually a few sets of tracks. And a type of culvert or bridge, I believe, too. All right, so we're on one line right here. There's another line right there, which I believe is a bridge. Now the tracks continue. You can actually see my car in the distance. They did continue straight where the parking lot is and homes, but the Ashley Plains, as we mentioned, is not too far from here. I would say maybe about 5-10 minutes away from here. So it is in the nearby vicinity. But yeah, the lines are indeed here, and these have ties, as we read, back to the 1800s. All right, that's too thick to go through. We're gonna go over here and check that out. So right there's where we just came from. That's the section of line. Walk down here. You can see the signs of the rail bed here, but the rails are gone. That's because they are cut. There's a clean cut right here. and what looks to be possibly a switch of sorts. I can't confirm that though, but yeah, the rails are indeed cut.
Uneven cut.
Yeah, they're staggered. I'm gonna try to get though, these actually resemble maybe like a hump yard. I wonder if that's what it is. These almost look like brake rails for a hump yard. That's intriguing if it is indeed true. I'm gonna try to get a date on the rails though, but there is a railing over there which looks like a type of bridge or culvert that these are going over. And we're gonna continue following them to see how far they go. Okay, so I found some information. Over here, it says, looks like 5, I think it's a 5, and it looks like SCO, Steelton, Ohio. So something Steelton, Ohio right there. And then over here, we do have a date which says 1926. And it looks like a -30. There is more information, but it's kind of hard to read. But it definitely says 1926-30. And over here is Steelton, Ohio. So if that has any information to kind of lead where they came from or anything like that, feel free to share it down below. These may have been replaced at a certain point. So 1926, is a later date than the 1800s, or possibly when this section of the line was put in place. But anyways, at least we got a little bit of information on the particular rails here, and they're still in good shape. I mean, they are big and mighty and still look like they could hold a load today, but it does resemble like a type of hump yard. So looking down here too, sticking out of the leaves is another little arm or device. There has some bolts coming through it, and right here where my feet are too, another arm connected to both inner rails, which looks like it would kind of expand and contract to put pressure on the flanges of the train wheels. But all right, we're gonna turn around and make our way through there. All right, so my assumption was incorrect. I don't believe it's a hump yard. It is indeed a switch. You can see up here where it forms at the frog and it turns into another set of rails. So it is just an odd looking switch, but it is indeed a switch. But over here though, we do have some flowing water, and we're on top of a bridge of sorts. There is a railing right here and a big wall over there too. So there's a lot going on in this area. Before we continue, I'm going to try to go down here and get you a view of where the water is flowing under the rails. Styrofoam? Yeah, somebody must have put it there. But as we're seeing, there's a lot of remnants too. There is some ties. There's a pile of ties and debris there. There's a pipe going across, and something across the way there too, which looks like it's a little structure. But I'm going to get down here and show you what that looks like. And here we are. So we do have a culvert. It is made of concrete and steel, and there's actually 2 chambers to it. The water is flowing in the closest one, and the far one looks like it's maybe an overflow. And I'm going to zoom in to show you. Somebody does have a hose there to kind of rappel down, but it does look accessible. Now I don't want to bring Lily down there and make her go through that because she's not into that type of stuff, but I definitely would like to return and go through that. So comment down below, tell me if you'd like me to return in the future and make my way through those culverts and see how they look. And if there's a good enough response, I'll definitely come back and do it. All right, back up the hill, and we're going to continue following the rails. You can see signs where another set of tracks would have been. There's ties in line here. Here's a closer look at the frog. And it gets rather thick again, but I think we can make it through. We can maybe come to the other side of that wall and show you that, a different side of the view. And then we'll connect up with that other line that we first discovered, headed in that direction. There's a big bolt coming right out of the ground, and the tree is growing right next to it. Just taking pictures. So here's that hose that I showed you from a distance, and we're now on top of it. Lily, you can come over here and check this out. And there's looking down into the culvert. So one is wet, one is dry. And very easily we can make it down there, but like I said, I'm not going to drag her down there, but it does look pretty interesting. And it goes completely under the rails. And look at what I just discovered. The tree encapsulated that pipe right there. If you look right in the center of the screen, that pipe of that railing is coming straight through the middle of that tree. Now, the one trait that she has that I have is our fear of heights. So even though I am doing okay, she is nervous coming by the edge. If I wasn't filming, I probably would be too. But at least you guys keep me focused and kind of not look at how far of a drop it is. But we're gonna go back up there where it's safe. So this is the first set of rails that we found. We came up down there. Over there is the second set where the switch is. Railings over there. And it's pretty open and clear here. So we are going to walk this. Now, there is some ballast here, which doesn't look terribly old, but there's no shine on the rails. Actually see some pretty severe scuffs there. But right next to us, where my shadow is, where I'm pointing, there's some more ties. So there definitely was multiple sets of lines here back in the day for switching and maneuvering of the coal cars. But up ahead, we're going to be coming upon another switch as well. Now, you know what? That culvert that I just showed you, I think goes for a good distance. I hear water spilling out way over there in the distance. So I think that culvert goes all the way underneath here, which is probably at least 50 yards. So that will make for a pretty cool explore when I do come back to do that.
Meow.
But right here, though, is a switch, and the switch is still intact. This is pretty neat. Let's see if it actually moves or not. So the housing is broke on it. So it won't move, but it's still here. It's not locked. It's kind of in the halfway position. But it is pretty neat though. So we're splitting off and we're going to continue following it. And there may or may not be another set of rails over there. I'm not sure, but we'll see how it looks up ahead. Another frog right here. Another switch up here. And there's a worn path, so people have been through here. Now, if I was to look and faintly look at it, it does look like the slightest bit of wear right in the center. It looks like it's from a long time ago, but by no means is it shiny, but it does look like something may have rolled on here at one point not so long ago. So as Lily's walking ahead, I did spot more rails right here and in the distance, which I believe those are active. But I did assume correctly that there was another set of rails nearby. So not only is there just one line, there's multiple lines, which I did not anticipate on finding. But this section is nice and clear and is in relatively good shape. The ties are pretty good, pretty solid. The ballast is here. Could definitely fit a, what is it? All right, well, let's see what it is. There's the other abandoned lines. Looks like it is cut right there on the far rail. The inner rail is still intact. I have to say, these rails are in better shape than some of the active lines that are used today.
I thought it was something just rails that collide.
Oh, so it's another switch up ahead. And some more ties over here. So it looks like something came through here at some point and replaced some of the ties. discard the other ones, older ones on the side. But yeah, this is connecting up to a active line, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to go up as far as that, and then we're going to retreat and see if we missed anything in the thick of the brush there. So this is as far as we're going to go. Up ahead, there is a switch there which connects to an active line. So not to interfere with the use of that, we're going to keep our distance. But this line, although it's not shiny, it's not worn, I believe it may be used sparingly for switching, for holding. It is essentially a spur at this point, which, as we saw, goes to various switches and kind of ends where the rails are cut. That line, active, continues, but as we saw, there is another line right kind of in the middle there. So I'm going to see if I get any more views of that. Otherwise, I think we were able to capture and document the remnants of the Lehigh and Susquehanna Railway. But we do have one more location. So make sure if you watch this far to continue watching, because the other area we're going to kind of plays in part with this, and that'll make more sense once we're there. So there is hard to see, but the other rails are right there. Like I said, it's really thick. And looks like there's a little ravine there. But these rails, I believe, connect back up to these ones a little further down. So I'm going to keep you guys with me here, and we're going to confirm that. Okay, so yeah, here they are. Yep, I was correct. So they do converge with the rails to my right, and we are walking right towards the middle of them right now, where the frog is. I almost forgot, on our way to walking to find these tracks that we're alongside right now, I did spot some concrete ruins in the woods. I don't know what they are, but we're going to briefly check them out before we head to our next location. Okay, so we just walked down from the rails, and if you look through the trees here, there is signs of a structure. So I'm going to make my way in there and see if we could maybe identify what it is, but probably not, but at least we'll be able to see what's left of it. Well, if you don't want to come through here, you don't have to. You could wait. It's up right here.
Okay. It's on this rock.
Yeah. So right in front of us is, which looks to be the outline of a building, kind of like the foundation, which was the base, and then there was bricks on top of it. And some of the bricks are here. Yeah, you can see the bricks, which probably form the walls. So, let's see, it starts or ends there and goes up there. I'd say that's probably, I'd say it's close to 100 feet long. There's more of the bricks, chunks of them held together with the mortar, and some nature's carpet growing on them. Oh, look at this. I did not realize there's another section of rails here. I am standing right in the gauge right now. So there's one, there's the other one right there. All right, so we found yet another line. And this one obviously was in correlation with this building here, which may have been a type of dock or something. There's also a pit here too. So the rails are exposed here, and there's a concrete pit here. So the rails are resting on top of concrete slabs. So this at one point may have been deeper. It could have been a coal dump, could have been a service bay, could have been anything, but there are indeed rails right here. And this one is an open pit, which is kind of filled up. I'm glad I came to check this out. So let's walk up here. We are now essentially inside the building. Here's some chunks of coal. This would be anthracite. We're in anthracite region. You can see the shininess. It's a hard, clean burning coal. There's the base of the wall. And looks like it did continue on. There is more over there. I'm not going to spend too much time here because Lily is waiting for me. But this is too cool not to investigate. So if I come back in the future, I would definitely do some more digging around in this area. I'm almost certain there's a lot of things I'm missing. And I probably won't know they're here until I just stumble upon them. There's another section of the wall. Got an uprooted tree here. This is a good sized building. The wall continues all the way down there. And there's a number of poles laying here. Yeah, these are not trees. These are like utility poles because they have bolts coming out of them, which we could see right there. So these were placed here. Oh, there's even a type of metal box. Looks like it may have been attached to the pole. Yeah, there is a lot of goodies here. All right, I'm gonna head back to Lily. I don't like leaving her for too long in an unknown area, but as I'm looking, there's more foundations, more bases of things. So as mentioned, if you want me to return that culvert, I will return to this area too. So make sure to comment down below and leave me your feedback. If you think this is worth a return trip, I will certainly come back and do it for you guys. I am pretty surprised how much is here. All right, I'm gonna meet back up with Lily and then we are going to head back to our next location. And welcome to our bonus location. We're coming to you from what is known as the Huber Coal Breaker. I'm going to show you this historical marker here, which states, erected by the Glen Alden Coal Company in 1939, the breaker could process 7,000 tons of anthracite daily. It is among the first in the industry to utilize Menzies cones to separate coal from rock. Innovative aerial tramway disposed of waste byproducts. Anthracite was sprayed with an iridescent chemical to create Glen Alden's distinctive blue coal. Operations ceased in 1976 following the decline of anthracite mining. It was demolished in 2014. Now what they have here is a type of memorial site where you could come and kind of pay homage to what was once here. Now there are little placards like this that do have some pictures, which I will insert in the video. But the unique thing is that this was known as a mega breaker. It was one of the larger ones and one of the most innovative with technology, since it has that Menzies cone separator where the coal would be in like a turbine of water and it would get separated, classified based on its size. And it was kind of leading edge technology and is one of the first breakers to utilize that. Here's a little memorial granite site here. Huber Breaker Anthracite Coal Region Miners Memorial. And they made it into like a little park. There are benches here, little walking paths, and some other things in the distance to check out, including a locomotive, a loaded coal car, a little shanty, and what you see in the distance, that big stack is what is left of the breaker. Here's a sign, Blue Coal Corporation, Huber Colliery. So as they mentioned, it had a distinctive blue hue to it with the chemical they sprayed on it, known as blue coal. And 1939, mega structure here. By 1976, it ceased operation, became abandoned. Many people have explored it. There's videos of it, there's photos. I have driven by it from a distance. You used to actually be able to see it from Interstate 81, which is up there. And I unfortunately never came to explore it. I just kept putting it off and I missed my opportunity. By 2014, it was torn down for scrap metal, which is very sad. I believe there was a petition signed too by thousands of people wanting to save it and turn it into like a historic memorial site. But now all there is just memories and remnants of what used to be here, but where we're looking right now looked much different just 8 years ago and prior to that. But right now I do want to show you this little Loki. And this is a narrow gauge locomotive, and easiest way to tell that not only is by the size of it, but the gauge of the track. It is much closer than standard gauge. Those are more resemble mine cart tracks than railroad tracks. I don't know if they have any information on this, but I'm guessing it maybe was in operation here at some point in its operating life. It's fenced off, obviously, but it is still here, and it's pretty neat to check out. It says Wanami Loki number 9. Directly behind that is a coal car. Not sitting on rails, but the wheels and axles are still there. They actually have some rail plates behind it to act as stoppers. But this is what a traditional coal car would look like. That would be pulled in and out of the mines, loaded with coal. And this could probably hold a few tons of coal, but it's a combination of wood and steel. And they have these big chains as like hitches to link up to each other. And I'm almost certain maybe that locomotive would have pulled cars like this. Standing in the shadow here is a tower, and I think it's a combination of things. There's some lights on it, there's some insulators. It may have been a yard tower, could have been used for a multitude of things, but right now there are insulators and lights up there on it. But it is here in the memorial site. Now what we're looking at now is basically a debris field, but there are some roads, there's some poles with lights on them, piles of debris, there's the stack. Over in that direction, which I will show you later, there are still some buildings intact in various states of decay, but they are fenced off and posted, so we can't go in them, but I will be able to show you them a little bit later on in the video. But one thing I wanted to point out is where we're looking right now. You see the tree line in the distance right there? That is where we were earlier in this video, where we were following those abandoned rails. And what I could tell you is that we saw multiple switches, multiple sets of rails. That's because there were multiple lines going through here for the breaker, for the colliery area. There is the one photo, which I'll put up again, showing well over a dozen different lines and switches that were here to service the breaker here, the Huber breaker. So some of those lines that we saw, I'm almost certain were playing a part in when the breaker was in operation between 39 and 76. Some of the other lines, you know, do play part in the Lehigh and Susquehanna Railway, but you know, the lines stemmed from the breaker, loading up with coal, going onto the Lehigh and Susquehanna Rail, and eventually making it to the canals. So it all kind of ties together in one way or the other, but just in correlation though, we were right back there. See it? Back there? No, not me. Back there. Another look at the stack through the trees, and this area is pretty neat. They have a little picnic table of sorts here, a bench, and this shack or shanty. Now it does state security cameras in use, so obviously they want to keep it preserved. But let's see. So inside there is a coal stove, just a stool and a counter, and actually some coal. That's an active working coal stove, because right down here are some buckets with coal in it. I do believe it's locked. Yeah, so they don't want people going in there, taking refuge, firing up the coal stove to stay warm. But it's a concrete structure, windows all around. It's enough for one person. They have the stove to stay warm, heat up their food. And we're whatever the job was, to keep tabs or count on something or watch, whatever their job title was, but it is sitting here. Next to that is a little display area of rails. This is standard gauge. You can see the considerable difference in width compared to the narrow gauge. Next to that is a light tower, signal tower with the 2 signals up there. Looks like it's been refurbished. And here's another coal car. This one though is loaded. And this is what a typical loaded car would look like. It is on rails. This is the narrow gauge, which would either be in and out of the mines, or it could have been on the surface after they processed it through the breaker. But just to show you, you know, some of the size of this coal, you know, it's big, you know, and there's different classifications. They ship out coal, those sizes. They ship out coal in like little stone sizes, you know, and medium size. I mean, I'm sure there's a name for them, but they do process it down to different sizes depending on the purchaser, where it's going to be shipped to. So it wasn't just one general size. Here's the chain link here. Yeah, that is heavy. Each of these probably weigh between 5 and 10 pounds. So I have like at least 20, 25 pounds in my hand there. Now I know many of you have family or friends or relatives who worked in the mines and maybe worked at a breaker like this. You know, there was breaker boys, there was all different positions. So if you know of anyone that worked in a breaker, even this one, feel free to share the story and details in the comment section. All right, looking back, I walked just through that little opening there. I saw this sign and I thought it was a 5 mile/hour speed limit sign, but no, it says 5 slope, which would designate number 5 slope, which is a mine. I just heard something moving. So I'm to speculate that in this area, there would have been a mine entrance, whether it be a drift or a slope, which I'm guessing it is because it's called the number 5 slope. But we are essentially walking where a mine entrance would have been. Could have been where they would have pulled the cars out with a winch or hoist. There is various debris piles. There's some comb piles. There's some stuff. I mean, this area I would love to explore. As far as my understanding, I think it is private property. It is privately owned, if I'm not mistaken. There are areas that are posted. This area is not, but I don't want to go without having the proper permission, which if I could obtain in the future, I definitely will. Or if I could find out that this area is indeed accessible, we'll definitely have to check it out. I know in the distance there is some buildings, which I mentioned. I will show you those later. There's a concrete slab there. I mean, there's a lot here, even though the main focus point is gone, but it's just a huge area for processing coal. And it's almost mind-boggling to understand, you know, what used to be here. And even sadder to know that it's no longer here. There's a depression here. I'm pretty certain that slope was right around here. So here is what's left of the buildings of the Huber breaker and colliery site. That structure is just a shell of its former self. And up here is some more intact buildings. It's got busted out windows. I mean, they're clearly empty and abandoned. People have been in them, but it does state there is cameras in use. But those are the only remaining structures from back in the day. All right, so I joined back up with Lily. We're taking a little break here on a picnic table inside the Memorial Park. And I just want to say that this location has been on my list for a couple of years now. And although I'm too late to see the breaker in person, I at least got to document the site and to show you what is left of it today. Now, Lily did state she did see a couple of things she did like. What was that?
It was this sign because it looks cool, and the train over there.
The locomotive?
Uh-huh.
So the sign behind us, right there, and the locomotive. So no surprise with that one. I like trains. She likes trains too, just not as much as me, but they're still pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
She did take some photos, but she's practicing her photography. She didn't do a video yet, but if you haven't heard, I'm going to link up her video down below. She did do an update channel video where she's kind of taking her channel in a new direction, right?
Yes.
What kind of stuff are you going to be doing on it?
Gaming and like stuff I want to do.
Gaming, some art, some vlogs here and there, but it's going to be more about what she wants and just having fun on her channel. So I will link that up down below, and if you want to check it out and give her a subscription, she would be happy, right?
Yes.
Anyways, guys, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I do want to thank Lily for joining me as well. We had a good time, as we always do. And it's finally a beautiful sunny day here in Pennsylvania. It's in the 50s, light breeze, and almost on the verge of sweating, so it's not too bad. Otherwise, to see any kind of mine-related videos, check my playlist down below. Otherwise, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up.
Yep.
Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.
And I'll see you in the next video.
She said it before me. We'll see you soon, guys.